be able to do it each time. All right. Okay, cool. Okay, so what happened last session is that Boo and Lelivos went wandering about and found out some things, and they arrived back at the house at about the same time. And this is when Lelivos is basically informing Boo, what's happened and
John,
where they're going next. The gathering. Go ahead.
You forgot to post the Twitch link.
I didn't care. People should know it by now.
Okay.
For sake. Anyways, so as stated in said forum post, gathering. You have gone to Crane Manor to do so. Cardiff, you overhear them kind of talking, but as you are discussing what you're planning on doing, and as you're kind of getting ready to go out, Typhon also overhears your conversation, which is mostly trying to discuss Lelivos. You've seen the interior of the castle, Castle Garland. There's nothing in there. You cleared it out. But as Typhon kind of overhears you, he kind of walks in and he pulls the small silver rod with the black bead as its cap, and kind of offers that as something that might be important. As he kind of does so, though, and kind of holds it out to you guys, and everyone looks at it, it erupts in a puff of purple energy and vanishes from his palm. Cardiff, you are sitting there in the kitchen, kind of still going over notes with Wonk and Eslo, but you hear magic happening in the foyer. You're very familiar with the type of magic. It's teleportation. Something teleported in the front room. Either teleported into the front room or teleported out of the front room. You're not sure based on the sound. You'd kind of need to go into the living room to kind of inspect.
Okay, I'll hobble on in. My stick of staffs.
When you get there, you note that there appears to be kind of like a lingering energy just sitting there.
What's it smell like?
It smells... it kind of smells like sulfur. I guess is the best way to describe it. But roll an Arcana check.
I smell all the magical eminences. Let's see. Boom.
So you actually know the type of spell that was triggered. So there's teleportation magic, like Dimension Door, Teleport, etc. There's also ways of wording items with like arcane runes that will basically trigger a recall. So it's basically a rune of recalling that seems to have activated in this room. And the rest of you are staring blankly at Typhon's empty hand because the silver rod with the bead disappeared.
Is it at Crane Manor?
Yeah, it's in the foyer. The only post that was made was Zach's, and he basically came into the foyer, was talking to some folks, trying to get them kind of rallied up to move on. And so Drunk kind of wandered away for a bit to the market to go get some supplies. Boo actually stayed, so that'll be one retcon piece there. Or arrived earlier after getting his stuff. They got separated.
Yeah, that's fine.
Right.
Run off to get my own things, and Drunk just didn't do what I asked him to because he's stupid. That's fine.
Right, and you're kind of...
I would like to mention that I did give that route to Aramil.
So yeah, you would have pulled it out of it. You would have asked Aramil for it at a later point when Aramil went to go somewhere else. So you would know, Typhon, you'd probably be the only person. In the mid portion of the day, while they were adventuring and doing their thing, Aramil and Pockets both, so they had a meeting that they had to go to, and they've been gone for a good portion of the day.
Okay.
All right. So you were given the rod back to hold on to, and then when you bring it out, it vanishes. in thin air in front of everybody.
Then Tyson puts his hand in his pocket.
Uh-oh. Looks like that's not it.
Okay, and Cardiff, you kind of stumble into the room and hear these other. Yep.
I had this, some sort of talisman or, I don't know, icon that I recovered from our source on the Lavison hunting lodge the other night. And I was going to show it, and, show it to, it's vanished, it's gone.
It just hobbles out of there. Oh, Peter. Is that what I sound like? Ash. Never talk again.
Work on it. So, yeah.
Wait a second. He comes back around. It's a real recall, or most likely whatever. What's that?
We're going to have recalled it to its place of origin.
I suppose wherever it was inscribed to return to. I don't quite know. But...
I think I know where that would be.
Where's that?
Where we found it.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
What Pocket did was activate the rune. So if we wanted to reacquire it, all we would have to do is return to the hunting lodge.
What is the item? I don't know. What's the relevance of the item?
Oh, I don't know.
I fail to see the relevance as well.
I mean, we could go fetch it, but it'll just return again. I don't. What's it for? What's it do?
To both my and the glass. If it has any significance to them, it would probably be in our best interest to. However, it's hardly a pressing concern at the moment.
We know where it'll be.
Very true.
Yeah, I think the most important thing right now is apprehending Cherry.
That is my plan, and I believe you are all assembled here to join me, correct?
He could very well have information that is crucial to finding and eliminating the remaining heirs of Lavison.
He should. He has supposedly been in contact with them.
If we subdue him rather than kill him, I have a spell that'll make him tell the truth.
Well, I just pull out these, and I'm going to pull out 3 nets, and these, and I'm going to pull out 5 pairs of manacles, and be like, anybody want one?
That sounds like a plan. I can help with that.
And I took the money out. I figured it was cool if I ran out and bought those for you, John. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, anybody who I want to keep one of the sets of manacles myself, but feel free. Anyone who wants 3 nets or any of the 5 sets of manacles, you could take them.
I mean,
Just
I
like
would say we should probably split the nets up. Like, I'll take a net. It should probably be people that aren't necessarily the best, like, in combat. So
It should be whoever's going to run up and be close, because it's only got a distance of about 15 feet. So, like, Typhon should have one.
Probably. I don't know. Beating the shit out of people.
yeah, see, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Fair, but like you've got the best bet of hitting him. Well, yeah, either one of you two, if you wanna like, if you're willing to get up that close, probably Shadow.
Yeah,
But, like,
I'm flying close.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason we can't all have one of the sets of manacles. That's why I bought 5 pairs.
I never understand why you need physical bonds when you have mental bonds that you can just It's useless to me. I don't want one.
Fair enough. I'm sure they'll come in handy to me later anyway. And I'll smile at him. But yeah, that means the other, if you three want one, and then you three can all take the nets too, honestly. I have no use. I mean, I can keep one net. Does that work? And then we take off.
Heading off to the Castle Garland. You recall Lelivos typing how to get there. Aramil was the one who initially led you, but you two decently enough move on that way. Transportation-wise, are you walking? Do you have enough mounts for riding? Are you taking some other form of accoutrement? Mind spideriness or what have you?
Typhon's gonna be on his horse.
Typhon on his horse?
I paid Bunder. I talked to Tom and got Lumir taken care of, but currently it is not attached to the staff.
Okay, so you have a staff and a sword.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For combat purposes, if you convert it, you can't use a shield in combination with it, and it is a glaive for all, a +1 glaive for all intents and purposes.
Which reminds me, I need to make a macro.
I don't have a horse.
Me neither. I'm walking.
There are currently
bagpipes.
3 riding horses.
2 horses.
There are currently 3 riding horses in the manor house, but that still leaves.
I have enough money to buy another horse.
Well, you have a war horse. Cardiff doesn't weigh much. You
I
can
have a horse.
throw him on the
I
or.
have 3 horses. I point to a patch on my shirt or on my robe.
Oh, right. Yeah, you guys have plenty of horses. If you want to make it quick, you can get on horses.
I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. You horse up. You ride on out.
How many horses do we need? How many horses do we have?
You're good.
Probably
You
only
ju-
one
Yeah.
between you and me. Like we could probably fit on one horse together. I'm a white elf and you're a gnome, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and you have some.
You have 3 riding horses already, and then Typhon has his own horse, so you don't need to.
Okay, so we don't need
Yeah.
any. Yeah.
Okay, so you ride out, and you make your way up the road because the horses wouldn't be able to move around the tree line like you guys did in the first initial encounter. You arrive back at the hill, just at the entrance through the tree line, and you can see that the fortification doesn't really seem to have changed much since the night before. You can still see the lights kind of flickering in the over the keep, but the main difference that you notice is that there doesn't appear to be any people stationed on the walls.
It looks like they haven't repopulated too much, but we can't be too careful.
Is there any signs that people have come through here at all recently?
Go ahead and make a survival check. Not to your knowledge. But with that check, I will let you know that as you're kind of paying attention to the ground, you kind of notice that the grass leaves are kind of widened and opened up. As you're passing through the tree line, you see that the leaves are kind of cupped up towards the sky, and you notice that the sky seems to be kind of overcast, heavily so. As you were traveling at night, you didn't notice the clouds kind of rolling in, but it does look like you're set for some poor weather.
Where did we travel to? During the ride, I would have just been inquiring the entire time because Cardiff never knows what the fuck is going on.
It's about a half an hour outside of town. From what you can see, you're sitting.
Do we head out north?
Yes,
northeast?
north side of the town, directly north.
Okay.
And what you would note too is that where you've come to, it's a ring of trees, a very large ring of trees around like a kill zone that's kind of up a hill.
A bandit camp.
And no, it's sitting in the center of the place is an actual fortification, stone.
Would I know the name of the fortification?
Castle Garland.
Significance of the fortification.
Roll history. Not much is coming up to you, knowledge-wise.
I'll luck that.
Sure, go ahead. You then think about it and remember that Castle Garland served as a fortification for the town of Laviston a long time. It's actually a very old fortification that's been present for ages. In fact, you're pretty sure that its roots go back to the War of Sword and Serpent, where it was used as a fortification by a lieutenant of the Dragon Queen Ashmedea. The lieutenant's name was Gulthias.
And what was the fortification called again?
Castle Garland. It is a fortification, but for whatever reason, historically it's called a castle. But when you look at it, it literally looks like a very small Bailey style like fortification, about 2 stories high, at its highest point because of the vaulted roof, like 40 feet, 50 feet, 25-foot high walls outside, but it's not very large.
But this was the place where we killed all those last there.
Correct, same place.
Yes.
Okay.
The gates are open. They appear to be open just the way you left them.
Great. I say let's just kind of march in. I mean, maybe some of us should stay off to the. Any of you guys like extra stealthy? I'm a little less stealthy since I got the plate mail.
I am fine in the shadows, and I'm sure shadows as well.
I'd rather stealth. So just to be clear, are these people waiting? Like, didn't we get? If you told us what happened the last time, aren't these people waiting for us?
Absolutely, I don't think they are.
Yeah, Tyson's just gonna mosey on up to the front gate.
Shadow's having the aneurysm.
Right,
That's like.
Shadow and Boo, why don't we go around to the back end?
Do you remember how successful last time was?
I'll walk up there with Typhon.
Okay. As you guys approach,
3 of you enter the front entrance, and Shadow and I will look for a separate way in.
yeah, Shadow and Boo try to move to the sides and get to the walls. But as you guys are closing in on the camp, what you're seeing is that it appears to be completely dead inside the keep. The Bailey seems to be completely empty of life entirely. And as you're kind of nearing the camp, the Bailey rather, rain starts to kind of fall down in heavy beads, just kind of buffeting you and deafening you a bit as the rain starts to slam down into the stone of the Bailey and the grass and soil outside. You can definitely start smelling.
How dark is it?
It's getting dark. Yeah, it's not. You don't really have much light at all.
Okay, then Typhon pulls Lumiere from its scabbard just a little bit, and then activates the light feature.
Okay.
And puts it back.
Okay, so you'll just, because of the way I understand it, Lumiere has to be kind of held out because the light is cast on the weapon. So you use it as a torch.
Oh, well, I imagine it was just the candles igniting.
Yeah, so if you put it back in your sheath, I guess that's fine, yeah. It's just at your side, it's at your hip, the light's glowing from your hip. That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah, so you've got a bit of light cast out before you. And it looks like the Bailey, like I said, is completely empty. The torches, as the rain comes down, flicker and sputter out. You can smell petrichor kind of like filling your nose, but you can also, as you pass under the gate, if you do so, you can smell a smell of oil, which you presume is from the torches up above.
I want to just take a moment and look around suspiciously.
Okay. Yeah, the doors are still open just like you left them. The place looks just like you left it. The airs are not dead in the ground out before you. It does look like their bodies were kind of dragged away.
There's got to be some sort of trap door or other place.
Does it
This is
look like
your setting be.
Does it look like the bodies were dragged away by an animal or by someone else?
Okay, so you move over to inspect that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It looks like they were dragged by bipedal creatures. So
Okay.
humanoids, perhaps.
Is there any sort of organization to the way that they were dragged?
They were dragged through the same door, the door that's on the northernmost side.
Alright, so they were all put into one place.
Yes.
Is that door unlocked?
So yeah, it's open. It's still left open from
Can
when
I
they
go
came in.
through
Yep.
that door?
You enter into
I'm following.
the keep proper.
Yep, I am
behind.
also following.
You enter into the keep proper, and in here, it looks like there's a wooden floor. It looks like there's spatterings of blood all about. Signs of battle, kind of clashes on the stone. Looks like Lelivos and Typhon are kind of recalling why everything is where it is in its place, because they were here and they're the ones who caused this situation. But the tracks appear to have been cleaned up entirely. So you see that the tracks kind of go up the stairs to the door and then kind of into the room just a little bit, but then they just stop.
I'm sorry, where?
So right at the door.
So
That's where the tracks stop.
Yep. So they like kind of drag off into the place because he died on the stone and he kind of went through the dirt. But like where you think he should be, there should be dirt treading on this hardwood floor. There isn't.
Does it look like it's been cleaned, or just completely absent?
You're not certain. Go ahead and make me an investigation check on that one.
I'd be happy to.
Not sure. Probably cleaned.
What does Shadow look like he's doing right
I'm
now?
not-
Shadow looks like he's paying attention to the floor.
I'm gonna follow along.
What you looking at? What are you looking for? He explains that when we were here, there was blood everywhere after we massacred them, and the blood seems to be gone.
I'm gonna try and
Show me where. Shadow points out.
Okay.
does it look like there's any maybe where it seems like is the ground silent? First of all,
Make an arcana. Yeah, it's wood. Make an arcana check.
Okay.
You can sense a lingering kind of essence all throughout the floor here. Your immediate assumption is that a spell, a very minor cantrip, was used in this place to kind of clean the entirety of the floor. Probably prestidigitation.
Typhon draws his sword and moves down here to the stairs to proceed to the next area where
I'm right at his side.
The
fired that.
Well, I'm gonna cast light on myself because why the fuck is everything black? Blackness.
Sorry.
It's
okay.
I moved up there with Typhon.
there you go.
Okay.
Cardiff kind of taps his
Did you
staff,
put light on me?
and the head of it glows.
No, I don't.
You have dark vision, so you're not using it. You're using. Is Lumiere still lit?
I mean, I just drew it, so I might as well light it again.
Okay, so is it going to remain lit, or are you going to remain in dark vision mode?
No, it's going to remain lit. I mean, we
Okay, because how it works.
got a spotlight following.
How it works because of Roll20, if it just because of old school D&D mentality too. If you're in dark vision, you're in dark vision. If you have a light source close enough to you to kind of change your vision, you're looking at it in normal sight. So you go from infravision to normal sight. That's just how it goes because Roll20 only allows one or the other. Your sword is now your light source, and you can see from it.
So,
Also, fluff-wise, it's pretty cool, but whatever.
The fuck is
What?
this?
R.I.P. Infravision.
R.I.P. Me too. Because, I mean, how the heck does the frickin' candle in Menza Bronzin, like the Narbonadal, it doesn't even make any sense.
Exactly. How much old like literature doesn't make any sense now?
Yeah, well, there were events that changed the way things worked, so they worked it in there. They worked it in there. Meh, I agree. Thousand Orcs was the death of R.A. Salvatore's writing. Sorry.
Sorry. Lelivos is following me. I'm going to walk back over here to where that statue was. Lelivos is with me the whole time.
Come on, Carlos.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Cardiff, are you looking at the box? Sorry, real quick. Cardiff, are you looking at that box of weaponry?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bunch of glaives, spears, lances, a couple of swords, just a bunch of mundane weaponry.
Okay.
Um,
As we're traveling through, since I've never been here before, I'm going to be looking. I know most fortifications typically have, secret passages or secret doors or cubbies, things to hide stuff.
Okay, so go ahead and make an investigation on the box for me.
Sure.
Shadow points out that wasn't there a trap here?
Okay. Yeah, just a box.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Just trap there. No, so the floor, the rugs are set down a bit. Zach, real quick, you're still sitting in the hallway, or did you stay with Typhon and them?
I stayed with Typhon.
Okay. So you guys go back to the statue. All
I
right.
walk up, yeah, and then I say to Lobos, I say, do you recall the symbol that Pockets used on this basin here?
Both of you make an intelligence check.
I was out with the Mind Spider, actually. I think when that happened.
Typhon, you recall it yourself.
Alright, I trace that symbol on the basin.
Okay. When you do, a small silver rod with a black bead, no more than a couple of inches in length, and like maybe half an inch diameter, appears set out there on the altar before you.
He picks it up, and he takes it to Cardiff, and he says, this was the object I spoke of.
Is there food at this table?
Yeah, but it looks like it's been there for a couple of days, or at least a day.
I'll be picking at it. I'll set the
Okay.
object down in front of me while I pick at the food.
The
Is
cheese
anything good?
and the bottle of wine look like they're edible.
Okay. I'll snack on the cheese and try the wine while looking at this rod.
Well, let's see here. This rod here.
Let's check out the room where the kids were kept.
So what does this rod look like?
It's a slender silver rod, like tiny, no wider than a pen, and no longer than like half of a pen. And it's just a silver piece of metal with a black bead at the top.
Perhaps it's a key. That's what Cardiff thinks to himself. Do I visually see runes on it?
Yeah, no.
No.
But you'd be able to tell that it seems to be not so much a device that would have the runes marked on it, but something that's kind of the key trigger to it.
Okay. So I guess I'll sit here deciphering the magic to figure out how long it takes for this thing to disappear. So I'm casting Detect Magic as a ritual and trying to divine out how long time we have for it to,
Sure.
poof.
I don't think it's based on time. I think tracing that sigil there in that basin is
Everything is time related.
The problem with this is when you cast Detect Magic and start sensing auras, everything in this place starts glowing.
Oh, I love it.
Make an Arcana check. The blur of it, the divide of it, every single item is glowing. But because of the nature of it, you're kind of trying to focus in on the rod specifically, and you can see that the aura present there is Conjuration. Kind of a bluish, purplish color.
Okay.
You presume the school of teleportation, a sub-school of teleportation, is imbued upon this thing.
This is like a keystone, possibly, to teleport us? Or is it just a means to teleport itself?
It seems like it's triggered. Something triggers it. You don't know what.
Can I try fucking... I want to try and force it to trigger. Is that possible?
Can I try fucking it?
Hold on a
Can
second.
I try fucking it with my time powers?
It seems like it's triggered. Something triggers it. You don't know what.
Guys, Carter's gone full retard.
It's too
So,
old. We need a young Carter.
what do you? I mean, like you don't know what triggers it, so you don't know how to deal.
Typhon walks back to the
Cast
basin.
haste on it. Just kidding.
Okay.
Walks back to the basin. Traces the sigil again.
All right. You trace the sigil. Nothing happens.
Tracing that sigil recalls it from a specific location.
Nothing happens. Your theory is bunk.
Okay. Can we start, or at least those of us that aren't messing with the key, or I will at least, start looking around for anything that looks like it might be a keyhole? You know, the walls or anything along the complex.
Sure. So let's go ahead and just start a specific location. So, Lelivos, there are a number of different chambers in this place, and a number of different articles that might be of import. You have the Rogue's Chamber, which is 4 beds, 4 chests, a cabinet or wardrobe. The wardrobe opens into a stairwell that goes down to a small dungeon, which is just like a 10 by 10 room where kids were found, if you recall the kids.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep. The other features of this room is there is a shelf, just with 2 shelves in one corner with a number of books laid out atop it. And it looks like there is a cloak rack, 2 cloak racks rather, kind of at the entrance of this place from the dining room.
Okay. Honestly, I think it might be a good idea to go down to the little tiny 10 by 10 dungeon.
Yep, that's what I said.
Yeah, so I think I can, Shadow and I might be able to go down there and check that out while they figure out.
Okay. As you're about to do that, Cardiff, you see that hovering directly over Typhon is a strange aura. And as you kind of focus in on it, you start to realize that the aura is different than all of the auras present in this chamber. It is white, and it seems to be of the school of divination, floating directly above Typhon. With your Arcana roll, you'd be able to realize that it appears to be some sort of magic sensor.
Oh, we're being watched. Shadow can't be watched.
No, I know. Yeah, you were completely like vampire mode. Like they didn't know you were there the whole time. Except that,
I was murdering them all.
right.
Don't eat any apples.
Are there apples on the table?
No.
Don't eat them.
But you'd be able to detect that there's some sort of magical sensor floating over Typhon watching
Right.
Lelivos.
Does Lelivos currently have... I have the key, correct? Or does Lelivos-
Yeah, they handed it to you, so you have it. They're not watching the key. It doesn't look like they're watching the key. It looks like they're watching the people.
Hey, Lelivos, come here, let me show you something.
All right. As he kind of approaches you, you can see that the sensor is still floating over Typhon, but it's moving its eye over to watch him. And the best way to describe it, it looks like a white, like baseball-sized thing that seems to have kind of like a empty space in its center that's kind of like an eye, like an iris, like just kind of watching.
Stay there, Typhon. You smell bad.
As you kind of do this, you notice that as you're walking away, the white orb floats away from Typhon and starts heading in your direction.
Quickly, I whispered to Lelivos, we're being watched.
Divination on Typhon.
And just as you're about to, you see it come around the corner. It's just looking at you too.
No, I mean, oh
I just walked back.
He creates the old coot.
So, what did you take of this stick here?
Fucking know, man.
So there's a barrel in the corner there. And again, we're going to go from turn to turn. So Cardiff went. Lelivos, you asked questions. I was going through the rooms. to explain what they were before I
I'll be
remember.
right back.
Okay, then I'll get back to you in a bit. Andy and Zach, you haven't been touched on, so we'll go ahead and deal with you guys real quick. Andy, is there anything that you particularly want to focus on?
Yeah, so Shadow and Lilivos were going to go down into the little dungeon area to see if there's been any changes.
Lullivos was called away, so when that happens, do you just wait for him then?
Nope, I'll go myself.
Okay, go ahead and just make me.
Do I see him going that way? Because if he's going by himself, I'll go with him.
He's on the other side of the wall, and you've never been here,
yeah,
so you're not sure where he's going.
That's
You just
fair.
know that he's over on the other side of the wall. But he goes down there. Just make a perception check for me real quick. Okay. It's the ground's still slick with piss and shit and blood and other awful. Smells bad down here. Doesn't appear to be anything that you missed.
Okay, so but while the blood is and everything was cleaned from other places, it's been left here.
Yeah, this room has not been cleaned at all.
Okay, so I'll just go back up and sort of hang out and wait.
Okay. All right, Zach. You hear some steps from around the corner from where Shadow was. But then there's of course other rooms that you can check out. Feel free to do what you'd like. It's your call.
Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do. I kind of just want to chill and watch this magic sensor thing. See what can I see? Am I seeing that?
No.
That's in the same room.
Just-
No, that's not in the same room.
You're not
as me.
even still.
Damn.
It's
I'm not even
it's not
in there
visible
anymore.
to anybody besides Cardiff. Cardiff casts detect
Got
magic.
it. That's right. You're right. Fuck. I don't know. I'm just gonna chill. Like I don't have good ideas at the moment.
Okay.
I was kind of hoping this would be easier.
Shadow says to Boo, it seems strange that the blood has been cleaned, the stuff has been cleaned out elsewhere, but not down there. Why don't you go take a look?
Okay. I guess I'll go take a look.
Down there, and then he kind of shows you the wardrobe leads down into some weird dungeon. You head
And
down there.
I would follow behind.
Go ahead and make a perception check. You start to notice.
That's not the right one. This should be the 12. My bad.
Let's see. You rolled a 15, and you have a +4 modifier, so 19. We'll go with the first roll. Yep. You start to notice that the stone is a bit off. You're not sure what it is, but you kind of start walking around and kind of feeling the stone. And as you do so, you realize that there isn't stone. You kind of push your hand through it, and when you do, it all kind of warps away and dissipates. And the room, which was 10 by 10, is now 20 by 20. And the walls are completely lined with the corpses of children, all bound up in shackles with rent wounds throughout them. Some are missing limbs. Some have their tongues ripped out. There's some that are so desiccated in their age from being down here that their skin has started to leather up and kind of like come to their face. It's a ghastly sight that forces you to roll a Constitution saving throw, because the smell is also really bad and starting to make more sense as you see it. Both of you who are in, just make a con saving throw.
Ugh.
Your lunch is spewed out all along the steps as you run out of the chamber. Boo, you've seen some pretty foul things. This is
Probably done some pretty foul things, but this
This is definitely outside of your tier of vileness, but yeah, it doesn't make you retch. It's definitely something that's kind of awful though. But you do notice that there are pieces missing, which is very confusing, and not what you remember being in Cherry Eater's MO.
Can I see? Is there any pattern to what's missing? Anything specific that I can tell?
Make a medicine check.
Popsicles. Yeah.
Even with that, you're still able to kind of piece together that it looks like there's a single piece kind of ripped from each of these children, and it would seem that someone built a child out of the pieces that were taken.
What the
Ugh,
fuck?
that is so twisted, man.
Like someone could put together, with the pieces that you took, like some sort of homunculi or something.
Okay.
Just eating my cheese and drinking my rum. Not looking at puppet kids made out of other kids.
Okay.
Is there anything else of note in here?
No, it seems to be some foul dungeon, prison rather.
No other entrances, right? Just
Doesn't appear to be none. Yeah.
Got it. Just making sure. But I think I've
Enough.
gotten what I need from here.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I think I'm satisfied with what was uncovered in here, and I can stand at, like, the entrance to it and kind of warn people. You know what I mean?
Do you see what just happened to the cat? Throw up a hairball.
Yeah, like,
We're gonna need you
just gonna
to.
warn you, like, I've seen some shit, but that's rough.
I imagine him like. Because cats.
Hairball.
How cats do. Chad, you were talking about the barrel. Let's go ahead and move on to you. You investigated. Inside, it looks like there's a bit of blood on the thing, some skin and patches of hair kind of like clung to nails on the interior. But this appears to be a shoddy made barrel that perhaps once contained something or someone.
Yeah. I just was looking at this and thought maybe it was something else, but yeah, I know all about the barrels.
Typhon, you and Lelavos kind of both, as you move over there, kind of stop and look at each other and then look towards the wall near there. You remember pulling away the tapestry, kind of like setting it aside to look behind it. And behind it was the Syrinx, if I remember correctly.
Mm.
Yeah. The tapestry seems to have been put back up.
Typhon rips it down again.
Okay. Yep, it comes down just as easily as it did before. All right.
Tell me where the Syrinx was. Does that look like
nothing's?
how big?
Yeah, the hole's still empty. Just the way you left it.
How big was the hole?
It was a cubby hole, like a foot by foot. Not very big.
Oh, okay. Yeah, not like a keyhole.
No. Okay. So you've looked at the barrel and also the tapestry. We're going to go ahead and move on to Cardiff. You're still sitting there, kind of poking at the food. Yeah, so moving on.
Everything is has an arc or a magical eminence.
Yes, everything in this place seems to have a magical eminence. You're not sure.
Okay. What is it?
You just know that everything seems to be manifest. Like, it seems to have an aura to it. So you're looking at, like, the food that's rotting in front of you, and it seems to have kind of like a strange, like, mix of conjuration and abjuration, like auras kind of floating around the items and articles, kind of blurred throughout. You look over your shoulder at the cheese sitting on the shelf behind you, and the small, like, half barrel of what you presume is probably wine or pale ale underneath that table, that shelf over there. And the cheeses are kind of emanating with a strange concoction of evocation and transmutation. But as you're kind of focusing a bit more on, like, the science of it, make a Arcana check. Yeah, there's just something weird about the auras.
Well, luck.
In that, yeah, go ahead. Point number 2.
Yep.
Okay, there's something weird about the aura, something off, and as you're starting to think, you go, ah! There's no purple. There's no bright, solid purple, which is illusion. And typically, if an aura is missing, those auras that are present may be false auras.
Gotcha. So they're illusions.
You believe that there's illusion magic kind of present across the board.
So the illusion magic is like masking what's really going on here.
You're not sure why. This all has illusion kind of catered to it.
But the buildings, the structures, it's just more of like the food items.
The
structure itself is real.
It's real, yeah. Go ahead and you think that you might be able to kind of pull back the veil, but you're not sure mentally if you're set to do it. Make a wisdom saving throw. Okay, so you're kind of focusing on it, and the veil is really strong. This illusion magic that's set before you, It seems that these articles are real, but everything is kind of gilded with this illusion magic, like a glamour.
Last point of luck.
Okay, throw it. You look at this piece of cheese that you're holding in your hand, and you're kind of staring at it. And as you're focusing on it, you kind of will yourself to see. You're like saying to yourself, "Show me the true form of this. Make me understand what the veil is. Remove it." And as you do so, you, not anyone else, start to see the room for what it really is. It seems that you're sitting in a chair that seems to be made of bones shackled together with sinew. The table set before you seems to be just horrifyingly stained with blood. All of the food set up before you seems to be pieces of people or other humanoid type creatures. Even the cheese that you're holding in your hand seems to be a slab of like flesh that you're holding in your hand. The wine over in the on the wall on the rack appear to be bladders of flesh, kind of calcified and dripping with just sick. The tapestry is the only thing in this chamber that doesn't appear to be rot from, and also the barrel in the corner. The only thing in this chamber that doesn't seem to be rot from death.
So, first of all, Cardiff is gonna fall out of the chair, puke up everything that he's been eating, and then
It's all over your beard.
Yeah, that's just pretty much what he's doing right now. And as he's doing that, he's kind of crawling away.
Okay, trying to get
Cardiff,
out.
what's wrong?
As you're crawling that way, you see that there are two statues of falcons over in the corners there. They have bright red eyes, but one of them is missing an eye. And the wall behind this one here seems to be false. It appears that wall, there's a door to it.
Yeah, how long have I been puking? Because I've not been puking long enough.
Yeah, you're throwing up all of the throw up.
That's what I'm doing right now.
And then dry heaving and kind of holding yourself against the wall, and then realizing the wall is like slick with blood and kind of moving yourself away. It's not slick with blood; it's kind of just stained with it.
Typhon grabs Cardiff and lifts him, just like straight lifts him to his feet.
Okay, he seems to be
Old man, what's wrong with you?
probably curling himself inwards,
Grabbing his stomach.
Yeah.
And dry heaving. He just doesn't stop. That's it. That's that for right now.
It's all fake! Abomination!
What
is he talking about?
Speak of?
Blood everywhere!
He starts running.
Just get out. Just run out. As you step over the rug looks like it's a sheet of flesh kind of pulled together in pieces. And as you're running up the stairs, you can see that when it dropped down from the trap from the other night, which you weren't there when it happened, but it seems to have dropped a foot. And you realize that wasn't some mechanical trap. The reason why that was is because the bones underneath the rug weren't settled like the stone around it. It looks like it was covering up a pit of dead bones. You just rush out. Ah! Once you get outside, the magic auras like fade away. Your concentration on detect magic probably washed away at some point in that mess, and you're just fresh air, and lots of rain just spilling down on you.
I'll lay down on the ground.
Everything out here is normal.
Looking up at the sky, and letting the rain wash my face.
All right, that was weird.
Like the starfish.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Should probably check on him.
You think?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to leave him alone.
Typhon heads for the door. Old man, what is wrong with you? Are you sick? Has your mind finally broken?
No, there's bitterings. Rot with
Just closes his eyes and relaxes.
those walls. Well, if you happen to see what I have seen, then you wouldn't want to go back in there. Who was in this? Whose home is this? I don't want to go back in there.
Tell me what you saw.
Made of people, the walls, the rugs, the food, all of it's an illusion. I hate them. I hate them.
You just start like retching.
As you're kind of like laying there in the stone and retching, your eyes kind of sneak closed, and you see the 3 red glowing dots appear with the silhouettes of the falcons, like behind you. It's just kind of an image all throughout, like this unholy pair of birds just staring at you.
Typhon pulls out half a bottle of the horsehead beer. Kind of nudges Cardiff. He says, "Here, take this."
He'll take a swig and just rinse his mouth with it and then spit it out.
Okay. Yeah, it helps.
Yep.
Yeah, that's better.
I suppose. Why? I don't quite know what this building is. I'm coming along for adventure. What the hell is this building? And who resides within its walls? I don't know. What have you got me into?
It was most recently used as a hunting lodge of sorts by
100 people.
labs. Yeah, we understand they were captured and liberated children, and that Cherry was helping them. They were in league with a group of bandits called the Crimson Eyes.
To what end? Why would they do this to children? People, I don't understand. What do they gain? Flesh thieves, perhaps.
Yes, we found mention of the flesh thief.
Of course, he's everywhere in these lands. I'm tired of the sound.
He starts.
Getting himself off the ground and getting mad.
It's going back in.
Meanwhile, Shadow, Lullivos, and Boo, you're still inside. So what would you like to do, Andy, as they're outside?
I want to check out this. So there's a doorway over here to the.
So again, everything that was said with this site was seen by Cardiff.
Oh crap! I guess we're gonna wait until they come back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You don't want to search around yourself? There's plenty to look at.
Sure. Why not?
Plenty of wine too, if you want to drink up.
Oh yeah. No, Shadow's not a wine drinker.
More of a whiskey guy.
There you go.
Okay. Lullivos, anything in particular you want to do?
Not really. Still just trying to look around for some sort of suspicious heel.
Okay. Make an investigation check for me. You spend a lot of time at the cheese table over there in the corner, kind of looking at it. Start cutting up cheese, trying to see if there's anything inside the cheese. You're not sure why you're doing this. But you know what? You just had this hunch like Cardiff was looking at the cheese wheel and he freaked out. Maybe there's something to this, and you start just cutting into the cheese and trying to figure out if it matters. It doesn't. Boo, what are you doing?
I guess I'm just gonna keep looking around for any entrances or anything.
Investigation check for me. Similar circumstance. You guys might be up at the same cheese wheel.
You
No.
guys might start sampling it.
Yeah, you do a decent enough job.
Not quite.
So the main 3 things that you're going to kind of factor here in this chamber is that there appears to be 2 statues kind of over in a strange corner that seem to have no purpose. The corner seems to kind of be buttressed out away from the stone walls in a way that seems to just be kind of a bit odd. You're not sure why. There's those two statues which are a bit strange. But as you're kind of exploring around, you also notice that on the bookshelf nearby, there's a single book present kind of at the bottom of the books that's flat on its side instead of sitting on where it's supposed to.
Can I get that book?
Mm-hmm.
Can I read that book?
Okay, so when you open the book, it seems that the pages are kind of like a diary. It looks like several of them are kind of written on. It seems to be the just babblings of probably a young teen. As you start to kind of read into it, though, you start recognizing names that you've probably heard around, like Mary Beth, Dorothy, and the like. You kind of come to a page that's kind of pulled out of the spine, kind of removed from the book, and as you kind of pull it away, you see that it has a sword, a lance, and a glaive kind of drawn on it, and it says, "Set these three on the table." And you're just kind of confused by this note. Just a sword, a lance, and a glaive, and it says, "Set these three on the table."
Is there anything that remotely resembles those items in the room?
There were lances and glaives in the box that Cardiff initially looked at. The far side of the chamber, opposite of that, there is a series of swords kind of hung up on racks. There are also swords in that bucket with the lances and the glaives.
Can I go look for those things then?
Sure. So you managed to find, a lance, a sword, and a glaive. Basically, when I say glaive, my mentality is kind of more Japanesey than most would. It's like a naginata, a sword on a stick.
Okay.
Yeah. A lance, like a pike, more than what you see at the Ren Fair, and a sword. And so you go and grab those. And
I put them on the table.
okay, so you set them out onto the table. It doesn't look like they all sit kind of neatly with all the stuff that's on the table, but you're pretty sure that you could swipe the stuff off the table easily enough with the lance.
Okay.
Okay, so you start battering stuff off the table and then set those three items on the table. And they just sit there. And they kind of move just a little bit, like they're kind of like, moving into place. The lance kind of rolls a little bit. The sword doesn't really move naturally. You can kind of tell that something's happening here based on that. But all of the weapons kind of move on the table until all of their points point towards those two falcons, specifically this falcon.
Can I go inspect that falcon?
Mm-hmm. It's missing an eye.
Is there anything that looks like it would fit that eye?
It looks
the
like
little thing that came out of
the eyes. Yeah, the eyes of the things are beads, black beads.
Got it.
And there's a small hole behind where it should be.
Can I, grab that tool, whatever, put it in that, whatever?
Okay. I believe Cardiff had it. So
oh, God damn it.
You head out towards him as you're doing this, and you see that he's coming back in drenched, and Typhon's kind of, with him as well. And you walk up to him and say,
Cardiff, I need that item you found.
The ravens.
Yes.
Okay, you have it.
Come, I have an idea.
I still see everything as it is, correct?
Oh, yeah. The illusion's broken for you.
Okay. I'm going to stand here just staring at this.
Okay.
So the walls, everything is like basically covered in blood, correct?
It's stone. It looks like it's been stained with blood, yeah.
Okay.
Typhon follows them.
He looks like he's looking at things that aren't, like he's just looking at things that don't appear to be important at all to you, Typhon. All right, Boo, you take the item, you move over to the statue, place it into the keyhole. Correct?
Yep.
Okay. When you do, the wall behind it falls into the ground.
Ta-da!
All right.
Behind it, you see that there is a grate over a hole. It appears that the grate has a line attached to it that rolls into the darkness.
Does it look like a trap, or what do you mean by a line?
Like a rope that's tied to the grate in its center, and it goes straight into the darkness. So like a rope, a line to descend down.
How far into the darkness?
So you can see dark vision. So you can see down to the bottom. It looks like it's about 50 feet down. The rope looks like it's knotted all the way down. And you can see that.
It's like a climbing rope.
Yeah, it looks like there's a bit of slack to it. If you were to move the grate off and set it to the side, it might tighten the rope up.
I will do as you have stated.
Make a strength athletics check. It's difficult to force for you, but after enough, struggling, you manage to get it up. Everybody can hear him in there, kind of just, jostling at the grate, trying to get it free, and finally he does and sets it to the side.
I knew there had to be more to this place.
Cardiff, you notice that the room that he's entered into, it appears to have kind of a strange waviness from where you enter in. So, like, there seems to be a distortion between the passage. So, like, when you were to, it's like kind of walking through. You ever seen the movie Abyss?
Yes.
Like the wall of water kind of feel, except that it's more translucent and less watery. It's just kind of this weird barrier in between the door, like that he walked through.
What's the significance of barriers like this? Can I think of anything?
You can make an Arcana check, and Lelivos, as he starts to kind of look at it and you start to focus in on it, you also notice that there's this weird distortion. So if you want to make one as well, or have it explained to you by the old man, that's fine. Either way, what happens here is it appears that this barrier in between you and it seems to be a dimensional jaunt. So you're not entering into another room, you're moving into a different plane.
Oh, okay.
From what you can see of the conditions on the other side, it would appear that the other side seems to be a pocket dimension with similar dimensionality and rules to the plane that you're sitting in.
It appears just as warped.
Kind of warped air. Yeah, well, the space in between seems to be just like kind of warped air, yeah.
Okay.
I've always wanted to travel into a place outside my own reality.
Boo, you hear him say that as you kind of get the grate aside, and you kind of look back like, what?
Right? Like,
This is not part of the same building. This is going to take us to another place, another realm.
And as you're thinking about it, Lelivos, you remember that Aramil used his keen hunter senses to kind of detect who was in the place, and there was something off about his detection sensing. You presume...
Yeah, there was a +1 at one point.
Yeah, you presume that was because whoever came out of this pocket dimension.
I see.
So that white aura, is it still present?
You're not detecting magic anymore, so you wouldn't be able to see that. This is more of like a physical distortion that you're seeing because of your keen eye. You're trained in Arcana. Most people would walk right past it and not notice it, but you and Lelivos are kind of like...
I'm trained in Arcana too.
Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm
Oh, you're an
Arcane
Arcane Archer. You would have...
It's all good. I'm just letting you know for
Okay.
the future.
I'm a
That was
Dumbo.
awfully wibbly wobbly.
Like, I'm not in that room, so I probably wouldn't have noticed this time, but
Okay.
I am also
I guess
an
you would-
Arcane Archer.
You would notice it as you kind of turn back and they start talking about it. You realize that you've passed over into a different plane. But it seems that there's been no change in conditions.
Got it.
Okay. Descending
Thanks for
down.
testing the waters, Zach. I appreciate you.
No worries.
Tyson into his room, and he looks down into the hole, and he uses Divine Sense.
Okay. Nope. None of the things that you were looking for are there.
Should let me go down first.
Yes, let him go down first.
By all means, and I'll like gesture towards the rope. Like, get shot first. I'm happy to shoot second. Like,
Okay.
I can go down after Typhon, that way no one with plate mail falls on anyone else.
You take yourself and put your hands upon the rope and kind of start descending down, right?
Well, before I climb, I look over my shoulder and I say, "Is everyone else coming?"
We shake our heads, yeah.
Okay. As you descend, you get about 5 feet down, kind of unsecured from the ledge, and the knotting of the rope falls straight out, and the thing that you're holding feels less like rope and more like a living creature. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw there, Typhon. Okay. Whatever it is kind of uncoils,
Anybody have inspiration?
snaps itself out of your hands, and unless somebody has a feather fall on hand, you fall 40 feet.
Yikes.
that hurts.
Yup.
Not too bad though, because I rolled three ones.
3 ones.
You
I
hit
go,
the.
ah! And then I land on my feet. And I'm like, whoa.
No, you don't land on your feet because you took damage. You fall prone. I'm going to go ahead and move you to the other chamber. Bear with me here. Just Chad, though.
Do we hear any of this from our position?
Him falling? You watch it.
Watch it. Okay.
You watch.
Okay. I guess what's confusing is the whole dimension shift part of it.
Oh, so yeah, that's the dimension shifting portion. It's oh wait, that's weird. Hold on. Did I miss a wall? Looks like I missed a wall. We gotta fix that. Yay. The dimension shifting was into the small room.
I see.
So that everybody who kind of moved up to the grate, you would have passed into a different dimension. Typhon, you hit the ground. Thud, do you see where you're at?
Yep.
Okay. Who's standing at the grate above?
I am.
Okay, so you can see down.
I'm right there too. I was gonna go second.
Only one person can really stand over the grate.
Okay, then
the narrowness of the room.
No, either way.
So it's Lelivos or Boo? Who's the guy?
Probably Lola.
Okay. So Lelivos, I'm going to give you sight into the room, except that you have no dark vision, so never mind. Light's not going to go down farther enough for... oh, you have a light
Is
on you.
light.
Right. That is correct. Bear with me here.
Damn, I love this sword.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
Neato.
Blame Steven for that. Alright. And get me a Lelivos. Alright, so you don't have your bullseye lantern up because, you're not shining it down there, I presume. But you can see him down there at the bottom. And you should be able to see that now. Right, Jason?
Yep.
Yeah, over on the right side, sorry.
No, I got it now.
You hear footsteps coming towards you, Typhon. Footfall kind of heading in your direction.
I just go ahead and get to my feet.
Yep. It seems at the edge of your light, by the time that you kind of get to your feet, you can see that there are two forms in black robes that seem to be covering up armor, and they have guard staffs, like those wielded by the guards in Hilton.
Typhon says, "Identify yourselves."
They say, "Who are you that has come into this place?"
I don't know. I just thought I'd drop in.
You are not guests of the master.
When I hear Typhon start yelling at someone else, I immediately want to try and get like my grappling hook and like affix it to the grate and just like get down that hole as quickly as possible.
Okay. You take your line of 50 feet of rope, tie it to the grappling hook, and that's what you're doing as they're talking. And they say, "You're not the guest of the master." Typhon, what do you do after that? Typhon groans. Okay.
Yeah, I know. No, that was just when I hit the ground. I step forward to try and see them better.
Yeah.
I say, "Who is your master?"
Lord Ramont. They step to here. Okay. Looks like they're holding their staffs.
Serve mine on Ramont. I will only tell you this once. Surrender now.
As you say that, you hear a thud of rope kind of hitting the floor behind you. You can see Lelivos looks like he's looking down at you with like a stern face. The guards, upon you saying that, lash out you with their guard staffs. And go ahead and make an initiative roll, the two of you.
Can I see down the well now?
You can, again, there's just one person who can be kind of close
We
to
could
the well.
probably, could we hear it?
Right, but
Yeah.
as Lelivos
You know
goes
something's
down,
happening.
I'd be the next
Yeah.
person there.
That's fine.
So
Yeah, you'll take over the
also
spot.
make an initiative roll because
Yeah.
I can see from the top.
And Shadow
Yeah.
would follow next, so however you want to work that.
Totally hit the wrong button.
Let me just,
Or do you
real
want
quick,
us,
I kind of want to play it by, here we go, hold on. So, okay, as you can see, like, it's a narrow space. You've already kind of like fitted people in there in ways that they shouldn't be fitting in the room that you're in. Typhon's no longer present, and Boo would be behind Lelivos. Lelivos is at the grate. It's like a 5 foot wide, kind of maybe 6 foot wide chamber. He's kind of taking up the space. Boo's on point. Shadow's right after that.
Right.
Based on what you're looking at, if Lelivos starts going down the rope, no one else is going down the rope at the same time because the rope's not taut. It's not going to be, perfectly set. And if you
Right.
jump on the rope too, it's going to be a mess.
But I can see from the top of the
Correct.
grate.
So yeah, if you were to step in,
So-
you'll be blocking off the grate from anybody else kind of going to it, or you would allow for Shadow to kind of pass through, but not this turn.
Right.
So I'll allow for Boo to go, but I need to get you onto the map then. Hold on.
Right.
Bunch of difficulters. I was going to do that for my sanity. Everybody should be seeing either darkness or your character off to the right side.
Correct.
Great. Like the one that you're going to be standing over. See what I did there? That was a good joke. That was a great joke. You guys are jerks.
Ha 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 ha.
Thank you. I'll take your pity laugh. Typhon, Lelivos, Boo, do you see your token?
I don't even see the map.
Yeah.
Go to the
I gotta
right.
switch, you're right. I gotta switch my fucking thing. I forgot. I have to do it myself now.
Are you in GM mode? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I fucked up and clicked the wrong thing.
You
I went
villain.
on the just main map. Yeah, I gotta go back out and back in. Give me a sec. I'm so sorry. If you want to hit the initiative button for me, I'd appreciate it.
No, I'm lazy. I'm lazy, you're forgetful. That's the team. All right. Typhon, you are first. It looks like they are getting ready to swing their staffs at you.
Yeah, no. Step forward.
Wait, why'd you roll twice?
Well, I told you I didn't mean to do that.
Oh, so you should have a 10 then. I go first.
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Okay.
Cheater.
Be my guest. Come at me, bro.
I'm whacking you. It's happening. What? Why? Why? I swear I saved this. Oh my god.
You're rolling GM layer.
No. I changed the weapon stuff and didn't stick. Guards are typically armed with spears. Oh my god, I hate you.
Where's my token? Do.
Alright, here we go. Attack number 1. Attack number 2. They both whack against your armor.
Oh man, I never rolled initiative, bro.
Fucking roll. You can't go until after Lelivos anyways.
Oh, fair enough.
Alright.
Can I see down the tunnel and see the guys
No.
hitting them? Can't see down the tunnel.
So, remember the map that you were on a minute ago?
Yeah.
So it's a very narrow space to a grate that descends 50 feet down. And then from there you can't, I mean, because only one person can stand at the grate, because it's a narrow space.
Okay. Well, when I get a chance to watch the grate, I will.
Okay. There's a shadow in queue right in front of you. And Boo before that. So, guard, swing, and miss. Type and go ahead.
2 attacks on the one right in front of me.
Okay.
1, 2.
Miss, hit, and mortally wound. Not quite a chatting, but bloodied.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
What, I took 9 points of damage?
Yeah, from the fall.
Okay. Yeah.
Pull a potion out and drink it. How many of these did you have left? 2 from the last time? So 1 left? Okay. Lelivos? Descending down the rope?
Yeah, what I'd like to do is I'd like to descend the rope with very little care for my own safety, honestly. I want to kind of try to like rappel down the rope, use the weight of the plate mail and my skill of acrobatics to make it down as quickly as possible.
I get you. Go ahead and make an acrobatics check. Okay. So half of 19 is 8. You'll take 5 damage from the fall, and you'll be prone when you hit the ground. And that would have basically been kind of like a dashing kind of action, since repelling was basically what you were trying to do.
Perfect.
All right. Boo, you were wanting to go after the that guy, so you move to the grate. You can see down. Looks like there's 2 guards face to face with Typhon.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot this one.
Okay. You kind of awkwardly set yourself, draw your bow, kind of pointing down and awkwardly in the room that you're in. Fire the arrow. It kind of goes wide as you try to avoid hitting Typhon, but it seems that the arrowhead kind of clips against his dragon horn and flies past the guards.
Perfect. Then can I use half my movement, right, for climbing the rope?
Yeah, you can attempt to climb down at this point. So, because it's just
actually, I'm gonna wait and let Shadow move through. Sorry.
All right, so that would have been Boo at the top, and then
he's more effective on the ground than
guards will go again.
So should Shadow roll for initiative?
Yep, let me put him on the map. You're right.
Okay. Because I went top of the initiative and then stepping out of the way, kind of for him to take my place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As soon as he moves, I'm going to use my movement to step back into my spot to fire another arrow and then move out of the way for Cardiff.
Got it. Well, again, if you're just holding yourself like over the grate, you can kind of like not do anything for a bit. That's fine. Like people can still move through each other. It's just
exactly.
you can't have a bunch of people standing on the grate. Is what I was trying to relay. Shadow, do you find your token?
Yeah, I rolled initiative, the worst possible one, but yeah.
Okay.
I also got one, bro.
So Boo just went, and then it'll go to the guards. All right. They'll both swing. Of course. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. And you can hear more footfall coming from down the hallway.
Oh, yes. Okay. Totally awesome.
Make a free insight check. Type it. Yeah, so you're starting to realize that the person seems to be kind of in pain, but when you struck him, like where a normal person would feel the wound and you would be able to tell that they look like they're wounded, these guys don't appear to have any kind of, notation of them being wounded. It's very strange, but there's something off about their eyes too, and you start to realize that it seems that these people are just casual guards who happen to possibly be mind controlled.
Casual guard.
Are you laughing at me?
No, I was laughing because I walked in front of the camera and I was like, oops.
It's okay. You're pretty, so.
My profession would call that collateral damage.
What the fuck is my fucking lash glue?
You can hear me.
Kill you again.
You must surrender.
All right. What are you doing? Yeah. Are you trying to convince one to stop fighting?
It's not going to stop.
I'm just gonna hit them with non-lethal damage.
Okay.
They're under some sort of glamour or spell.
So just to be
Someone has enchanted their minds.
sure, you swing your sword out to try and hit him for non-lethal damage. You swing wide and miss. Second attack. Okay, you hit him. Now, just to be sure, how are you striking him for non-lethal damage? Explain to me how you're using a longsword to try and deal that non-lethal damage. Flat of the...
Across the face with the flat of the blade.
Okay, the second you do, you hit him with enough strength to knock a normal person unconscious, and his eyes kind of roll into the back of his head, but he's still standing there, ready to fight. You realize that they will continue fighting because consciousness doesn't seem to be something that's important to them.
Even unconscious, they continue to fight.
They're like puppets. They're like puppets. Shadow.
Yep, Shadow will move up here beside Typhon.
No, stop. You're 50 feet up in the air.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was able to get down in that spot.
If you descend the rope, that'll be 50 feet of movement. You still have 10 feet of movement from that position. So here is about... Oh, wait, no, you move, 40 around?
No, I moved 30, but I have that little speed boost
So,
thingy that I can do.
Here's where you would go with that speed boost.
And then you can go another 60 if he dashes.
Yeah. And then you would still have...
I don't want to dash if I can't take the attack action. That doesn't make any sense.
So you usually...
can get here without using.
I could use double. I could double move essentially without dashing.
Yeah,
Right.
You can get to here without the dash. If you dash, you can get all the way to here.
So why don't I just go? That doesn't make any sense.
Wait. So the feline agility doesn't have an action requisite; it just happens.
It just happens.
No, it's
Okay, so you can get to here with just feline agility. You can dash as a bonus action and get here, and still have your action and 10 feet of movement.
Oh, I forgot you're a rogue. Yeah, you can
I'm a rogue.
Yeah.
So you darting in and attacking?
Hold on.
Oh shit, that means you can move so far.
I can move so far.
It's like 180 feet of movement.
120.
I'm gonna just I'm gonna fire my dash.
30, 30, 30, 30, 120.
Well, No, it would be 60, 60, 60.
Stop.
Which would be
Dash
180.
doesn't double the cat's agility. It's the same kind of
But
wording.
feline agility doubles your movement speed
Right.
for that turn.
But
so it
Dash
takes
has
his
the same
movement speed
wording,
from 30
and per the ruling on
Okay.
Dash, any kind of wording like that, you don't double a double, you just add again. Just like,
It's a triple.
Right, so
Yeah.
that would be 60 plus 60 plus 60, which
no,
is
you're
180.
no. Stop.
No.
Feline agility adds 30. Dash adds 30. Dash adds
90.
30.
I
120.
think you're reading feline agility wrong.
I'm
because
not.
It changes.
It doesn't.
It
So does
doubles your
Dash. Dash has the
speed,
exact same
not-
wording.
oh, I thought it had a different wording.
Same wording. It just says
Okay.
double your speed for the turn. Feline
Right,
agility is
yeah,
just Dash.
That's obnoxious. Then wouldn't I? Then yeah. All right.
Oh my gosh, 120 is
My
not
math
fast
is
enough.
wrong. I know it's not. I was
Are you
thinking it would be
so
faster.
off of the rules lawyering nonsense?
Irrelevant. Yeah, I apologize.
Shadow,
No worries.
are you moving into it or not?
No, I'm not, because I'm just going to stay put, and I'm going to fire
Okay.
my new crossbow at the one directly in front of me.
Laser crossbow, take a shot.
Laser crossbow.
That'll hit. That'll work. Looks like it kind of sets him kind of off kilter, but it doesn't look like he seems
How
to.
about
Oh
that?
wait, now he's dead. You put a hole right
Yeah,
through
now
him.
he's dead.
He's dead. Yeah, he dies in front of you,
Bye.
Typhon. And you notice that as the hit strikes him, whatever is holding his eyes, like the glaze in his eyes, kind of goes away, and you see that he's now aware. It goes from complete blank slate to, oh, what's happening? Oh, he kind of reaches out for you, grabs your cloak, and bleeds on you and dies. Not sure why he's dying. And then it goes to Lelivos.
All right.
Yeah.
What's up?
What?
Lelivos, Jason, your shit broke. I heard you a little bit there.
That like a pig.
Kind of sounded like a mouse to me. I don't know. Jason, what happened here?
Okay.
There it
How
goes.
about now?
Yeah, you're
How
good.
about now?
Yeah.
Okay. My plan is to try to just move up there to bottleneck them and throw a net at the one in front of Typhon to try to subdue him.
Okay. Did you?
Dead.
No, the other one. Did you already make a net attack or like macro in your thing?
No.
Okay. Let me go ahead and just. Do you know how to pull from your compendium or no?
Nah, man.
Okay. I'll have to give you a tutorial on that sometime. Lelivos. Do. All right. I'm in your character sheet. Boom. Net.
Sweet.
Yep. Should have all the stuff already assigned to it and macroed ready to go. You run up to him. You throw the net. He kind of bats it away with his staff, kind of knocking it down.
We should really try to subdue them. These are the town guards.
Move up one. Ah,
Sorry.
awesome.
All right. Cardiff, you're heading over to the grate at this juncture, and you're going to go ahead and be able to be standing at the top of it to see down below. So I'm going to put you on the thing, and boom. And you're over on the right side of the map. Should be able to find yourself there. Did you find it?
Yes.
And go ahead and roll me that sweet. Okay, you good? All right, Boo, you're up. You are standing up there with Cardiff. Cardiff is kind of looking down. He's kind of in the way for you, like taking. Or you climbed down, didn't you? No, you stayed at the top. He's kind of in the way for you taking shots. If you were going to take a shot from there now, you either have to back him off or take disadvantage to shoot. Can you hear me okay?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So because Cardiff is kind of at the grate as well, kind of looking like he's about to descend down, you've got 2 options, or 3 options. No, two options. You can either kind of get him out of the way, either by sending him down the rope or like pushing him back and away, or you can fire now, and you'll have disadvantage because he's kind of in the way, and you've got a longbow and you're trying to shoot down into a grate. You get what I'm saying?
Can I hold my action until after he moves out of the way?
Perfectly
and
fine.
then shoot down the
Opening.
Yeah, ready in action to fire
Yeah,
at
ready in
target
action,
Lindsay.
sorry.
Yep, that's fine. It'll go to the guard. He will mindlessly swing with the guard staff at Typhon. Miss. You don't have your shield out, do you?
No, I do. I'm just
Okay.
building Lumiere one-handed.
This guy moves into position, and this guy moves in right behind him. All three of them, or all the other two, will be able to make attacks, though. The guy with the sword or guard staff in the back is attacking over his ally and hits Typhon for a total of 14 damage. And then the other one's going to swing at Lilivos. That misses.
Cracks him right in the head.
Just hit him really hard in the head. Crowned him. Alright, Typhon. The guy in front of you, kind of like he's bleeding. Looks like his body is resisting. Like he seems to be kind of... The pain seems to be kind of taking over a bit. You can kind of start to see like twitching in his upper lip.
Does it seem like he's coming, like starting to come back to himself?
Not sure. You definitely know if that you were like wanting that to be the case, he'd probably need some prompting. Not so much the violent murder him kind, but some sort of something. You might need to not attack this turn if you want to persuade him out of his state.
I cast Bless on the three of them.
On the three of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Murder them.
All
I
right.
say as loudly as I can. Please, listen to me. I do not wish to kill you.
All right. They will just, for flavor's sake, they're going to be given a free wisdom saving throw against the effect that they're currently under. But I need you to go ahead and just roll me 3d4.
Individually or all together?
Individually. Pretty sure at least one's got it. The first one does not. Second one does. Third one does. Okay. So the guy who just wound up and batted you in the head, he's freed and kind of starts looking around confused. The guy who just batted at Lelivos is also freed of it and is like looking around genuinely confused. But the dude who's wounded and bloodied is staring at you with that same malice, even though he is under the effect. Out of character note, just for Crunch's sake, he had advantage on his check, but he rolled 2 6s. So what are you gonna do? All right, Typhon, that's your action. You still have a bonus action and movement. Not much you can do there, though, right? Yep, didn't think so. Cardiff, you're kind of looking down in the grate. Looks like Boo's kind of just waiting for you to get out of his way. Do you start climbing down the rope?
Question regarding my teleportability. Does that carry momentum?
There is no momentum, no.
So if I drop 20 feet and then...
So you would have to make a dexterity saving throw for that to be the case, because falling is like a split second kind of thing.
I'm just saying for an example.
Yeah, that'd be fine. If you were able to hit that dexterity saving throw, yeah, I'd let you blink right off the ground. It'd be fine.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to start trying to descend.
Okay, climbing down the rope.
Yep.
Okay, make an athletics check.
Oops, sorry.
The cat didn't have to. So you might want to test out that theory. Go ahead and make a dexterity saving throw. Okay. You're going to fall about 40 feet. I think you're just going to take it because, yeah, you rolled bad and are old. Take 10 points of damage, bludgeoning, as you strike the ground with your old hips.
You know what kills most old people is actually
I know. No, I know.
Just saying.
I'm well aware, yeah.
You'll learn Featherfall. Fuck this shit.
Featherfall is a great effing spell. Every wizard I play.
I'm literally finding every spell that can keep my character alive because he has like no con. I mean, I need to know Featherfall.
Alright, you're prone on the ground. Your action hasn't really been spent, but you are prone on the ground.
Oh yeah, my action is fucking standing myself up and
Kind of moving to the side.
making sure my hips still work.
All right, your hips don't lie. You're good. Shout out. Technically.
Does my shot go off?
Oh yeah, so you move into you go ahead and fire your shot at the same guy. Go ahead and take it. Yep, that hits. And you need to fix your macro. It doesn't seem to be adding your dex to the damage. But you fire an arrow straight past,
You're right.
right between the field goal of Typhon's horns, straight into that guy's eye. As it strikes, you hear two loud gasps as their friend is murdered for no reason. And they kind of look at you and go, "You're under arrest! What are we doing here? Who are you? What's going on? You're under... Who did that?" One of them falls to his knees and just starts crying. The other one's kind of trying to make sense of it with his face.
Right. Arrow just comes flying out of nowhere to murder their friend.
Typhon whips around and says, "Boo! Hold your fire!"
You see a small smirk on his face.
They drop their staves and are like just completely forfeiting the fight. Combat over. Yeah.
Non-bliss.
I start talking to them to try to like explain what was going on. You were controlled by an evil wizard, as was your friends. We were able to break the compulsion from you, but they wouldn't stop fighting until their last breath.
Make a persuasion check.
Typhon is doing the same thing.
So you're helping. Okay, so you have advantage, Jason. You guys managed
Thank
to
God.
calm them down. One of them seems to recognize you, Typhon, and he kind of looks familiar to you. Looks like a guard that might have gone missing like quite a few 6 days ago, like earlier when you first got into town. But yeah, they surrender to you and say, "Where do we go? What do we do?" And they kind of start moving into the main chamber away from where they were.
Yeah. Typhon says, "Gather your friends."
No thanks. They kind of look at you like,
Fair enough.
"No, we're not carrying the dead out. We're getting out of here."
On your own.
I
Once
explained
you
the way out.
just wait for us.
All right, they climb out. They take some time getting up the rope, but they manage to escape.
I'm assuming I make my way down.
Join the group.
Okay.
Check the bodies of the dead.
Yeah,
Guard staffs.
pull them over.
No
Yeah,
keys or
any
anything
last
else.
crowd.
Nope. Guard staffs and chain shirt.
No pants.
They're wearing robes. They are
Just
no.
change.
They're actually not wearing pants. They are wearing chain shirt over naked bodies, and they're wearing robes over the chain shirts.
You want to try to grab the robes to
Are the robes normal for guards?
deceive? Yeah.
The robes don't appear to be normal guard wear, no. And the hats they are wearing,
The deception will work.
the hats they're wearing don't appear to
if
be
we're not
either.
under the mind control.
Lilibos, as you're kind of going through that stuff, you notice that the hats kind of have like an iron band on the interior that kind of have spikes kind of jutting up like a skull caps, like interior might. But the caps on the outside seem to be just the same fabric as the robes. These iron crowns kind of set inside of the fabric of the caps.
I see. I show that to Cardiff.
Okay,
And
and do yourself a favor and make an Arcana check as you're handing them over.
okay.
It would seem some sort of perverse mage used magic similar to a spell you're familiar with, known as Crown of Madness, to kind of control these people.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Alright.
It appears that these are how they. Yeah, exactly. This is how they're being controlled. If we can take the hats off their heads, hopefully.
Typhon will move the guards aside.
Okay.
Kind of move the bodies to the corner and kind of put them in like a, I guess like a
Respectable position. Yeah, sure. And then head on in.
Cardiff is going to cast Mage Hand. Just remove.
who's hurt and how hurt are they?
Cardiff and pretty badly.
Yeah. Bleeding.
Yeah.
He took a pretty bad tumble.
I have a little bit of healing as well.
Might want to save yours for yourself.
Who has I have potions.
I mean, I have 3 potions and I have 6 healing spells.
Typhon has 1 potion remaining.
Healer.
I have one
healer's
potion
kit.
remaining. I've got
And lay on
25
hands.
points of lay on hands. Spell slot.
Go ahead and sort out the healing, and then
Yeah.
how are we progressing? It looks like it's a
Right. Who needs
narrow chamber, but 2 by 2 could probably march through.
I mean, Typhon took a pretty solid hit to the head, but he's still got a pretty nice chunk of hit points remaining.
Yeah.
I'd say Typhon and Lovo should probably be in the front since we have the
Biggest armor.
better armor. Yeah, I obviously have my shield out at this point.
Shadow and Boo, and then Cardiff and back.
So, any healing or no?
Cardiff needs healing.
I'm not gonna make anyone heal me. If you want to heal me.
Okay. Yeah, he walked over to Cardiff, make kind of dust him off, and do points lay on hands.
Okay.
Be back 3 minutes.
Yep.
Stealth, 5 points.
Okay. And then you guys advance down the hall, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the end of the hall, you realize that it comes to a T. At the end of the T, you can see that there appear to be 2 iron doors, and the iron is actually bound with iron reinforcement. Very solid iron doors. But it looks like there's passageways to the right and to the left that go down to ends as well, with even bigger iron doors set in the cornerways. So
Here I thought we were just gonna
Here.
beat the shit out of some fat guy.
here, here, and here.
Oh, guys, this is about to get real fucking gnarly.
I say we check like one of these 2 doors before we go to these ones. Like these ones seem like they progress further. Not because I'm like looking at this back part of the map, but assuming that I can't go further this way. Or anyway.
So Typhon kind of steps out to the hallway and looks around, and then he looks over his shoulder at Shadow and says, Shadow. 2, 4.
Okay, so let's check out this door.
Okay. What are you doing first?
Checking for traps.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
Help him with that.
Typically for investigation.
That's alright, I don't need any
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't worry about it.
So there don't appear to be
Chill over here.
any traps whatsoever, but you do notice that there's a keyhole. But the keyhole is very narrow, and you're not sure that your tools are going to be of much use. The keyhole is very similar in kind to the keyhole in the Raven's Eye upstairs, or the Falcon's Eye upstairs.
Is the key still in the Falcon's Eye?
Correct.
Can we retrieve it?
You would know that pulling the key out would probably close the door off. So it doesn't seem that the key would be able to pass through the
We
door.
would need to have another key.
There must be another key somewhere. You can attempt to try and pick it, but you'll have disadvantage for the check, and no one can aid you.
While he's doing that, can I look at this door and see if I have a similar circumstance?
Okay, 1 second. Are you going to attempt it or no, Shadow?
So only if, in failing, I wouldn't damage the lock irreparably.
It doesn't seem that you can damage the lock. The most that'll happen is you'll break some picks.
That's fine, let's try it then.
Bless him before he does that.
It's only saving throws.
Cardiff, you're kind of moving into the chamber now because you're a hold hit. So do me a favor, make an Arcana check real quick. All right. As you see him kind of moving towards the hole, pulling out picks and like sizing it up, you realize that there's markings just very faintly placed upon the door, hardly noticeable, especially to an untrained eye. You're seeing it, and you're noticing that it's not a trap. It's not like something that would cause anything to that effect. It's just minor tracings that let you know that there's an alarm spell on the door. If someone were to attempt to force the door, that it might cause a problem.
Force it by picking it.
Correct.
Shadow. I'm just telling him to stop.
So, what?
And as he points it out to you, you kind of realize you saw it before, but you didn't know what it meant, and Cardiff wasn't really there to ask. So you kind of moved on, presuming that there was nothing to it, because again, it wasn't a trap. It wasn't something that seemed like it could harm you, and it wasn't like a magical rune that was present. It's just a very faint kind of tracing, and yeah, you stop. If you were to attempt to force the lock, it would.
Okay, nice job, Cardiff.
It's all you, baby.
So let's go down here.
And just so people at home aren't complaining, the investigation check was for traps specifically. The alarm isn't really so much a trap as it's the gateway's kind of markings. It's not the door itself. Anyways, Boo was searching the door before you got to that point. This door is unlocked. Definitely openable from the side. And it appears to be locked on your... When I said it's not locked, I meant it's not locked barring you. It's locked. You can unlock it from this side. It seems that whatever's inside is being locked in.
Perfect.
All right.
Sounds like the kind of door I would open.
As you kind of move towards the door to unlock it, you hear this strange humming sound kind of from beyond. This weird arcane humming sound. And as you kind of flip the lock open, you see a young boy sitting at a table. A bunch of books and grimoires are kind of lobbed onto the table. Looks like he's going over some documents there, and he kind of just idly looks over at you with the cold gaze of the guards, and then kind of looks back to the pages, continuing to go through it. You can see that there are two large vats behind him. Seems that bronze seems to make up the base of these vats, and glass seems to be kind of domed over this foul greenish looking liquid, or possibly gas, or perhaps a mix between the two, you're not sure. But floating inside of both of the vats, you can see these forms or figures kind of hanging in the green liquid. They don't look human, but they don't look not human either. They're slightly bigger than a human, possibly the size of like a ogre or something, but they kind of just float idly in this liquid.
They look like a human the way Shaquille O'Neal kind of looks like a human.
Yeah. Big and massive and very formidable.
Excellent. This kid hasn't done anything yet, so I'm going to see what he does when I step directly into the room.
Nothing. Continues reading. You can see that underneath his long, kind of metrosexual looking hair, he kind of has an iron band wrapped around his head with thorns kind of pricking up into his brow. Iron
Can
thorns.
I approach him gently? I don't want to say anything.
He does not seem to notice you for the world.
Can I read over his shoulder? What's he looking at?
It looks like a bunch of weird markings. A bunch of weird markings that are kind of like on paper. It looks like some kind of language, but you're not familiar with it unless you speak deep speech.
I do not. But can I inspect that crown on his head?
Take it off.
I just want to inspect it.
Similar to those that were in the caps of the guards.
Perfect. Can I take it off him?
Okay. You reach for the crown. He doesn't seem to resist. You pull the crown off of his head, and when you do, he slumps his head straight down into the papers.
Can I try and catch him?
Make a dexterity saving throw. Miss. Smack. And as you see him kind of lay there and kind of reach down to pick him up and kind of lift him up to see him, you can see blood start to kind of spread out over the papers coming out of his face.
All right. Is he still breathing?
Yeah, seems to be breathing. It just seems like he broke his nose on the table. But he's unconscious as well.
He's fine.
Okay.
He'll live.
Can I shout to Typhon? Typhon, can you bring him up to the guards?
The
And I'm
guard
gonna like. I thought they were waiting for us outside.
fuck. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just not strong enough to carry him up the rope.
Typhon comes in,
Takes him to the rope, ties the boy to the rope at the bottom, climbs up the rope himself, pulls the boy up into the thing. You have the boy up in the top layer. You move out to see if the guards are there. You realize that you're missing 2 horses.
Oh, those fuckers.
Oh well.
Okay,
Good
so
turn.
I call my horse in. I leave the boy with some food and some water.
Okay.
To just be as like gentle and like reassuring and comforting to this child as he can be.
All right. And as you're doing so, and so getting him set up, the boy kind of like wakes from his daze and kind of looks at you. Who are you?
My name is Typhon Demakos. I'm a knight of the Order of Rosa.
I,
You were trapped in the dungeon. We brought you out.
last thing I remember is willingly submitting myself to Mylon's request.
Now, why on earth would you do such a thing?
He said that I would be a great magician if I wore the tiara he had made for me.
Mylon is a liar.
Oh, I'm sure.
Never trust him.
Most people are liars. He kind of says idly, and he looks down at the food. Is this for me?
Yes.
I'm famished. And he just starts eating and seems to kind of ignore you past that point. If you have any questions for him, feel free to ask them. I'll let you know if he replies or not.
Whatever you do not leave without us. I will know if you do.
Huh? Oh, okay.
Now tell me, what is your name?
I'm Relic.
Relic.
My father thought it would be a witty name. My mother wasn't too keen on it. And they both ended up really annoyed at me in my youth and sent me away.
Sent you away where?
Oh, to Rostagar. I was to learn magic in the Association of Tall Namri.
Is that where Mylon found you?
That's where we met, yes.
Yes, well, we must get you to Hilton.
Fair. I remember that town.
Till then, please.
Okay. He gets back to eating.
Yep. And then Typhon heads on back to the others.
He, as he's kind of, like eating, he, gives you a look. You do know what you're getting yourself into, right?
To see this through.
I just know that there's something deep within that, may pose a problem to you and yours, so.
And he turns back to him and says, "What do you mean? What do you speak of?"
I don't remember much, but I do remember that it wasn't Mylon who was in charge. It wasn't Mylon who made that device. It was Mylon's master.
In that crypt.
I don't think he lived there, but he visited. I just remember his presence. You could tell when he entered into the keep.
Is Mylon there?
Oh, sure. Of course.
That will suffice for now.
Alright, as you're going through that, I'm assuming that Shadow Lullavos and Boo have some, and Cardiff also have some questions about the room that they're in.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Look around.
And just as, after that conversation, Typhon's heading back, but the whole thing, I imagine, takes some time.
Yeah, of course.
So while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go have myself a smoke.
Shadow, you first. What are you doing?
I like to examine the tables.
Okay, so you find a small metal pin with a bead at the top of it, a
Perfect.
grimoire, a spellbook, and 6 pages with blood on them now that are hardly legible, but the words that you can see are in this strange language that you're not familiar with.
Okay, we'll hand that to Cardiff.
Don't touch it yet. Don't. He stops you before you start
He'll say Cardiff.
touching shit. Not being like, but Carter, like, I literally just sat down. I had to go pee.
You can also see that there appears to be an alchemist set, alchemist tools out on the table as well. But yeah, those articles are present. After a fashion, you realize touching them is not going to be a problem. It doesn't seem that they are magical, but they might have things that could create magic, specifically the spell book. But yeah, you take the pin up. Boo and Lullabos, any questions about the room?
While they're inspecting the room, can I go check this other door up here? Because I'm guessing there might be a similar situation up there.
Yeah, go ahead.
But
And I want to check out the vats, like
identical doors.
Do you see that overhead that some sort of creatures are in there?
Yeah. That's fucking cool as hell.
Did anybody go? You said you were going over to the vats?
Yeah, I said that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
check them out.
As you kind of approach, which one? You approach that one? Okay. The one on the other side, you see movement and then a slamming of the glass. You see a palm pressed against the glass and a face start to kind of manifest on the opposite side. Make an Arcana check. That is an athletics check.
My Arcana is worse, so
Okay. You're not sure what the heck this thing is, but it appears that its hands, it has a total of 6 digits, but it looks like the 4 in the middle are fused into 2, and then the 2 on the outside are like thumbs. And it's pressing its palm directly against the glass, and its face looks just feral, just the worst. You're not sure what it is, but as Shadow and Cardiff kind of turn at the sound, they see it, and it does appear to be underwater, but you can hear it loud and clear in your head, Lullabos. But the words don't make any sense to you at all. It just seems to be this strange chant of just like weird, foreign, alien words kind of ringing into your head.
Does he look mesmerized at all?
No. It doesn't. It's there's no effect coming into place. Just words are filling his head.
I'm gonna back up,
Okay.
and I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god, what the hell is that thing?"
Make an insight check as well as you back away. Based off the chanting tone and like the words that are coming into your head, it doesn't sound like he's like chanting something specifically. You can hear that there's a certain cadence to it, and you start to realize that the tone that's behind it and kind of the look of the creature beyond seems to be something that's demanding. It's demanding you to do something, but you don't know what. And it doesn't seem to be like affecting you magically or anything. It seems to be just genuinely trying to communicate with you. All right.
Okay. So, does it seem like it's speaking in a language I don't understand, or it's speaking in like common as gibberish?
It's that first one.
Okay, then I'm gonna cast comprehend languages.
Okay. It starts to make sense in your head, and it says, "Set me free. Set me free. They have bound me here. They have done their foul tests. Set me free now. You are not with them. I can tell you are not glamored. Set me free."
I try to communicate with it back in my head.
Okay.
Why did I set you free? What are you?
It kind of understands you, and it kind of looks to you. I don't belong here. I do not belong in this world. And as you kind of look in more at it, you kind of start to realize that the face that you're seeing doesn't really have a mouth. There's no like mouth present. And it has kind of like a weird elongated head. Very strange. Not like long elongated, just like a slightly, more crowned or conical head than a human would have.
Okay. I turn to Cardiff and Shadow, and I'm like, it's asking me to set it free in my head.
That's quite interesting.
I start walking towards him. So, what is this green shit? Like, what does it look like? Is that just like a large, like almost like fish tanks?
Yeah, back to tank is the best way to explain it, except green.
Okay.
If you're that kind of nerd, go ahead and make an Arcana check if you want to try and figure. Okay. So you realize that the stuff inside is raw ethereal that's been pulled into this plane and kind of set inside of these glass caps.
You said raw ethereal?
Yeah. Basically, there are small planes within those capsules. So there's ethereal that's kind of in place and holding them there. Raw ethereal or deep ethereal, it has a malignant kind of nature to it in that it doesn't allow people to kind of exit out of it. The deepest kind of way that I can kind of explain that to people who are more akin with how planes work, and you may get it or not, but Ravenloft and the Dark Planes in said realm are inescapable because they're in the deep, deep ethereal, like far down into it. This appears to be kind of like a moat of shadow, a moat of this ethereal presence that's kind of held in stasis in this demi-plane, in these capsules.
Oh, I'll do the same thing that he did.
It kind of starts talking to you in your head, but Lullabos, you can still hear it as well. And it says, "Free me! Stop wasting my time! Free me!"
Well, it looks like you have lots of time to spare.
It bats at the glass again.
I'm back. They're totally Protoss.
And if he's talking in my mind, that means I can communicate with my mind too, right?
Uh-huh.
But guess what? He gets a brain full of time, fucker.
All right. It seems to be kind of disturbed by this, but as it's being disturbed, it kind of leans back. And as it leans back, you start to realize that the portion where the mouth is seems to kind of rise up and split into 4 parts and slam onto the glass. And you can see underneath, like the mouth of a lamprey, these 4 tentacles like slammed against the glass.
Why the fuck would I let that thing
With
out?
your Arcana check, you would know that this appears to be an illithid.
Yeah, I would never. We're leaving them in this fucking thing.
Why not? Why? Maybe he's got something to offer.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking eat your brain.
No, his isn't that important.
And as it kind of like slams back like that, it kind of leans forward, and you can see that it seems to be trying to concentrate on the glass, but nothing's really happening.
Yeah, the ethereal. Concentrated ethereal.
Oh, it's stuck.
We mean it's stuck.
It's stuck where it's at. It can't get out.
Okay, perfect. What's this other one doing?
Oh, it doesn't seem to be moving at all. Whatever it is that's in there.
Walk over here.
We have a key to one of the doors.
Oh, excellent. Let's leave this room. This is quite odd. I don't think I want to listen. No.
And he just walks out.
Okay. Yep. You guys head over to the door.
Yep.
All right. And this boy's not there anymore. Do you wait for Typhon, or do you open the door without him?
We wait for everybody.
Typhon arrives. Sorry. Oh, I totally just panned away from you, my friend.
I know.
I totally.
I'd let you finish that up.
I opened it up though for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a similar room with vats with strange creatures bound inside of the green mists. There are some books out and about, but there's one table here that seems to be kind of covered with old stains of blood. And there's a young boy, similar in look to the boy that you just saw in the other room. This one's dead, but it looks like it looks like he died of self-inflicted wounds.
How recently?
He's probably been dead for about a day and a half.
Okay, so we didn't kill him when we took the other guy out.
No.
Got it.
Get a key.
Kind of looks like he impaled his own throat with the crown that he was wearing on his head.
Excellent. Is there a similar key in this room?
There is. It's actually sitting on. It's in the. It's like attached to, like a small little leather key holder on his belt.
Perfect.
Like a holster.
That.
Okay. This one has a white bead on it instead of a black bead.
Okay.
All right. All right. You head on over, and then Shadow, do you put your key in and open it?
So before that, looks to Cardiff just to make sure that what he saw in the writings on the door would match this key, especially if he sees that Boo has a similar key. One might only open one door.
It should work. Yeah, fucking do it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm more interested about these illithid right now. Like,
You kind of wait against the edge of the door, and as soon as he opens that door, Tyson wants to kind of rush into the room.
Okay, so insert the key and see what happens.
Door opens, and by door opens, I mean you put the key in the hole. And the second it does, the door widely opens out and away from you. You fall off of a ledge.
Oh!
You want to move back and get back on the ledge there? You move up to a railing. You can see that you're standing on like a catwalk. Looks like it kind of circumnavigates the entirety of the room. It seems that it's up over. There's a balcony up over a strange vat filled with blackness, but the blackness seems to be smoking up out of it. And there appear to be other such vats in this chamber as well, beneath the banisters. As you enter in, you can hear footsteps on the grates, as it seems that creatures are moving in your direction. You see them coming from the north and coming from the west.
2 arms, my comrades. What do they look like?
They look like humans with leather armor that are completely bandaged up.
Look like they're wearing the things on their heads?
Roll initiative.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did you things on their heads or no?
Yeah, they're completely bound. Like,
Oh, okay.
they look like mummies, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that it's 9:30. Sorry, my lovelies.
Getting late.
It's okay. I got a plan. We're gonna do. This is gonna be a 2-parter. But Thursday, I think, is gonna be the second part. How's that sound? Does everybody have Thursday?
Nope.
yeah, sounds good.
Andy.
Sorry, man.
Andrew.
Mm.
Schedule.
Does everybody besides Andy have Thursday?
Let me see.
Then go ahead and NPC him.
That's what I was thinking.
I can do my best.
Oh, not
I
good.
should have-
Okay. I just don't think I'm going to be up too much later, and there's still quite a bit more.
You work tomorrow, right?
I work every single day.
I love you, Jonathan. Hey, when I get to Indy, we're gonna hang out a lot.
I work every single day.
Yeah, so.
Fair enough. All right. Who am I missing?
Hey.
Boo. And Shadow. Okay, go ahead.
Whoop.
Oh my god.
Really wants to let these illithids out. Like what?
I definitely want to let the illithids out. It's
Control
definitely my
yourself.
plan.
It's like, hey, where'd Levels go? And you just see like.
Well, so far, just one of the vats has an illithid. The other ones, you're not sure yet.
I'm just saying.
I mean-
man, Typhon, you really want to leave them there and just starve to death?
Absolutely. Also, Titan's just like totally fucking roaring to go. We're in a fight.
Yeah, Shadow's first.
So, Shadow opened the door. Typhon barged past him. There's some sort of sound. Can I tell where it's coming from?
Footprints, north and west.
North and west. Okay, so Shadow will move in here.
Okay, you see 2 individuals. The armor that they're wearing, you kind of recognize from the other night. Looks like the one similar armor to the Fellhoods, but it looks like they're completely bandaged up, face and arms, and you can't see any skin underneath, and their eyes kind of have like haunting, kind of just glazed over looks.
Okay. So this is 30 feet. Right?
Uh-huh.
And I will attack the one in front of me with a sword.
Get it.
Get it.
That'll hit. And that'll wound. And he'll... no, you don't get sneak attack.
Why not? Oh, yeah, I don't get sneak attack. You're absolutely right. So then this guy right here.
Okay, so second attack.
Do it with the claws.
Okay.
I think just freeze it. Okay.
That'll hit and wound.
And then I will, because I have extra movement, I'm gonna go back here.
Okay.
By my friend Typhon.
Sounds good. Cardiff.
Actually, I think Lilibos would go before me.
Higher dexterity. Okay.
My dex is a +2. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll go before.
Lilibos, what's your dexterity modifier?
+3.
Yeah, you're better. Move on in.
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, you said there's steps from the west as well. Does that mean, like, I'm thinking they're coming out of this, like, area up here we've already...
Oh, sorry. That's east.
Oh my god, Jason Corthius. Okay, never mind. Here I go. Oh, Jesus. I'm very, yes. I'm just gonna go ahead and move.
Okay, you can see them there. You can also see the vats from underneath, and it seems that there's this kind of smoke gusting up from the vats. The vats appear to be filled with like a black liquid, from what you can see. All right, taking a shot at that guy. Okay. Let's see how good I can do.
Whoa.
Seems like vicious mockeries this week have been kind of just no bueno. All right, so that's a move and action. Anything else? Okay.
Stand in front of me.
Zach is frozen in time.
Sounds good. Cardiff.
I figured that way at least they can't get through us and get wherever they want.
Yeah. Get the defense on the outside. Smart.
So, do these guys look like they're alive or they're just reanimated corpses?
There are no undead present.
There's mind control.
Which one? So these two above us look like they've been...
They all look like dudes who are just wearing kind of like bandages or just like a lot of, material around their faces and arms and bodies.
Okay.
But they've both been hit. The ones to the north.
Mm-hmm. Oh, apologies. Piercing, you stabbed him, and then when you cat clawed, you kind of cut away at the fabric of the face as you kind of darted away. But you did notice that beneath that material, the flesh underneath wasn't human flesh. It appeared to be like lizard scale.
Gross.
Perfect slayage.
But they do have the same hats on, correct?
They don't appear to be wearing hats.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to use my wand of magic missiles.
All right.
Hit the one directly above me.
Okay, are you firing them all at him, or...?
All of them at him.
Okay, so this one here?
So 5, 9, 10, 11. 11 damage.
Yeah, he dies. Yeah, you hit him so hard, he kind of falters back and hits the ground.
That's my
Okay.
turn.
Typhon.
Alright. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to shove this guy above me 5 feet away from me.
Okay.
So, athletics.
Yep.
I'm basically trying to shove him over the railing.
Yeah, I understand. And I'll explain why that doesn't work. So it hits him, and he'll go ahead and push against it and then kind of dart off this way. The railing's about 5 feet high. So to knock him over that ass over tea kettle, you'd have to pick him up and throw him over. It's not really a shoving kind of thing. You can either push him back to that position, or with that shove, you can knock him prone. Your choice.
Fuck it, knock him prone, and
Okay.
then I'll attack him.
So you kind of hit him down into the railing, and he kind of, like, off the ropes falls to the ground. But you realize that pushing people over the railing is not really something that you can do, or not getting knocked over the railing is not really something that's going to happen easily enough.
On
Okay.
the one I just knocked prone.
How are you making an attack? Can you shove as
Stab factory.
Can you shove as a bonus action?
I mean, when I fought Ian, he told me like
Shield
you
Master.
shove him twice.
Shield Master as a feat. Oh, shove as an attack action. Right, you're right. So you can only attack once. So you shoved as an attack, and then you're attacking as an attack. Yeah, that'll hit. That will kill. Okay. Boo.
Taking a shot.
Yep.
This guy.
Throw it. That will hit and kill. Efficient.
Oh shit! There.
Okay.
What the fuck?
You see two very large, heavily armored knights storm up the steps and make their way directly down the pathway. As this one here does so, the door he walks past seems to just kind of open of its own volition. And Typhon, you can hear the sound of crawling, just rushing from inside the chamber. If Kurt were here, or if anyone who was in the mines was here, you would recognize the sound as the sound of centipedes crawling inside the chamber. That would be the knight's turn. Bandits have one remaining. He'll go ahead and attempt a short sword attack. Misses. And that is it for him. Shadow?
Shadow. 1, 2, 5. And shoot at this guy with his crossbow.
Okay.
How about that?
That will hit.
So, okay. No sneak, that's it.
Yep. Alright, Lelivos?
Okay, so I'm gonna come down here and help Typhon sort of like hold the line down here. So I'm going to pretty much do the plate mail double move to get next to Typhon.
Okay.
During that move, can I switch my lantern to bullseye mode?
Yeah, perfectly fine. So I think when I shifted you onto this sheet, I kind of just left it off because I'm a failure. 120/60 and 90-degree arc. Cool. Should be good. All right. Cardiff? You're up.
Oh man, holy moly! There's a stack. I'm gonna yell. There's a bunch of guys.
I'm gonna cast a lovely spell.
That's not good.
Bottleneck. Oh, that's what Typhon is. Typhon is the bottleneck.
Okay, where are you casting? Oh, hold on a second.
Can you do me a favor? Can you give me something to drink?
No.
I don't know who this asshole is, but I want to fight him. I want to fight him so hard.
We got him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you have control of that or no?
I do not.
Hold on.
Is very quickly becoming
Do me a favor. Go to your spell templates subfolder in your journal. Should see Flaming Sphere present. Did you pull it off? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
Move it wherever you want it to go.
I'm gonna set it right there. I'm gonna slam it into this guy here.
Which guy?
Directly above.
Okay.
Right here.
Dexterity saving throw. Oh, it's rolling to GM, but you should be able to see it on Twitch if you're watching. It's a 9. So he'll fail and take the damage. 3.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he loves it.
Then I will move. Actually, I'll stay here.
All right. Typhon.
I want to move here.
It'll cost you 2 squares of movement onto the corpse.
Totally fine. I'm not going anywhere.
Difficult terrain. Using 4th edition terminology with the 2 squares shit. Yeah.
So you're gonna injure move next to ball of fire?
You're breaking ranks too, bro. Bottleneck.
Can you move that ball of fire?
No, he can't. You're playing the game. You're playing the game wrong. But you already moved. That's 10 feet of movement. If you want to move, you can go ahead and continue to move. But
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
2 attacks on this armored guy.
Swing and a miss. Swing and a hit.
Going to second level smite
Sure.
on the second attack. What is that?
Sure you don't want to do it on the first one? I'm pretty sure Zach's camera's just frozen.
No, Zach's been holding that face for a while.
So
Yeah.
23 damage.
Still standing.
There's sexy man.
And
Okay.
Then, shield save.
Okay.
Move back.
I'll take an opportunity attack. If my guard was actually up, that's so terrible of me. All right. I'll take a swing. Miss. All right. Boo.
Alright.
Actually, sorry. Hold on. I get another attack. Multi-attack.
Ooh, shit.
All right. So take 6.
Alright, reaction, hellish rebuke.
Okay. DC 14. Is half dead.
Wow, really? 3d10, 8 damage, wow.
Fail. You move away from him after bringing up your Shield of Faith. Roll a concentration check, by the way. DC 10.
Alright, hold on a second.
Constitution saving
6
throw.
points of damage, right?
Yes.
29? Constitution.
Right. You're fine. You hold concentration. When it strikes you, you turn back, look at it, and fire springs forth from you, slamming into its chest. It falls to the ground.
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
You hear the armor kind of move around a bit more once it hits the ground. It sounds like the person wearing the armor was probably a lot smaller inside than you thought it was.
Oh, shit.
You're not sure exactly why that's the case.
There's centipedes inside of armor.
All right. Boo, like I was saying, it's you're up.
That's insane.
Alright, well, haven't done that yet.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do that
Okay.
at
Guy up there.
that guy, because I don't think anyone's seen him or done anything to him.
Flies past him, hits the wall behind him.
Fuck me.
All right.
Alright, well. I'm gonna go over there, I guess. That's my turn.
Okay.
Hope he doesn't get me.
Yeah, no problem. The knight will move to there. Sword out in front of him. That bandit's still alive, isn't he?
I'm gonna tap on Shadow's shoulder and like do that. Oh shit!
Bandit will swing. At Lilivos. Doesn't matter. They both played it up. Miss. All right. Shadow. You're up.
Thank you.
You got it.
I
Hey,
need.
go get killed by him first.
Dude,
That'll
fucking
hit.
no joke. Andy like tanks everything. He's the best. He's the
All
reason
about it.
I'm
So
still
Yeah.
here.
happy to shoot from the back.
There's that one fight where Titan
Okay.
was paralyzed.
Did that second one hit?
The second attack comes in, and as you're sure that it's going to cut through like the plate, you're sure you're going to get a good clean shot. He spins the greatsword in his hand and parries the attack away.
And then I'm gonna move back beside my friend.
Okay. Yeah, he's pretty deftly competent with that greatsword he's wielding.
Those.
Lolivos, looks like the front line has changed, or has it? The centipedes are going on 4, but I don't know why they weren't added. So that's weird. Fixed. The bandit needed to make a dexterity saving throw for the fire. Sorry about that. Yeah, he missed. He dead.
So when these centipedes come out of this door here, which one of these two squares are they going in? Are they going right in the square with the flaming sphere, or the one next to it, or do they have to travel through both?
So I know the map is kind of weird with those doors. The doors are a little wider than 5 foot, so they can exit out to either square. And with the centipedes, just to be a bit more of a munchkin, they don't have to crawl out on the ground. They can crawl out on the walls and out onto the ceiling. So they can kind of avoid the fire, yes. But it doesn't seem that they're moving out, or they're ready to move out at any time. They still are just centipedes. Lelivos, it looks like they might be... Maybe the fire will hold them at bay, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
They're afraid.
Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out here around to block my homeboy Boo, because I think that Typhon has this over here, and I can get back and help him really quickly. And then I will Vicious Mockery this chump.
Alright, let's see if you can do better than Jeff. Yeah?
Of course I can. Come on.
Oh, sick burns. I don't know if he's still watching. I think he might still be watching.
We have a few watchers.
Yeah, Jeff's on there watching, I think, and maybe Shaft. But anywho, I don't have much people interaction because I'm the worst. What was I saying? Something. It's Lolos, you moved Vicious Mockery. Card if you're up.
Okay, I'm gonna move closer a little bit more. As a bonus action, I'm gonna move my flaming sphere into the room, and as I'm doing that, I'm going to mage hand the door closed.
Okay, so you'll slam it into that one, and then shut the door, right?
And slam and close the door.
Okay.
Correct.
Sweet.
Now,
Nice.
do I get to re-roll?
Don't worry about
2d6
dice.
damage?
Don't worry about dice.
Can you hold it closed?
Don't worry about dice. Don't worry about holding it closed. Centipedes can't open doors.
Got it.
No, I'm
All
talking
right.
about for like
Just-
never mind. They're dead.
Honestly, just let it play out as it's playing out. If you maintain concentration on that spell for enough turns, it'll just naturally go its course. Don't worry about it.
Excellent.
Typhon. Unless you have anything else, nothing, right? Moving on to Typhon.
I'm
Thank
moving
goodness.
again.
Okay. All right, Typhon. Get in that front line, bro.
Yup.
Should we stand next to your friend, bro?
Nope. Straight up in his face.
Dashing to him.
Yep.
Boo!
Move into
Get
here.
up here.
It's got a high AC, man.
Bonus action drink
Look
butter.
at that.
Okay.
Ending my turn there.
The shot misses. It kind of glances off of his armor. He kind of looks to you, and his eyes kind of flare red. And when he does so, he kind of moves to the side here. And once he's standing in that location, Typhon, you can kind of feel like wind buffeting from underneath him, and you can see kind of like the fur of his cloak and such kind of like rising up with the wind, and the cloak in his back is kind of like billowing up behind him. And once he looks appropriately dramatic, he swings his greatsword at you twice.
Now the first one's got disadvantage.
Doesn't matter, it's a fucking failure.
Yuck.
And then that second
the cloak's
attack.
like flapping in his face. He's like, "Don't care, look awesome."
Alright. Centipede's burned, Bandit's dead. Shadow?
Yep, Shadow will go beside his friend Typhon and attack.
Okay. Do me a favor and make a strength check before you attack.
No problem.
Okay. You're good. You kind of get onto the floor there, and it feels like the wind is kind of moving up at a pretty high current. It's almost usurping you from your feet, but you're able to hold your place. You attack, you hit, you sneak attack. You bloody him.
Let's go right here.
Okay. That's it?
Yep.
Levos.
Alright then, I'm gonna go up here. And
Chaunting around Typhon and moving into the attack.
I'm gonna, hit him with my rapier.
Alright. Swinging a hit. You guys are rolling really hot.
Yeah, baby.
Woohoo, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, Cardiff.
As a bonus action, I'm going to chaotically move the orb around without seeing it.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, but that's how it's working in my mind.
Is that your action to do that?
Bonus action.
Okay.
Let me use my wand. It's down to 5 charges.
Take a shot. That will hit, and it's been a while since you played with Chad, hasn't it? But I think you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Type in.
That's fine.
Moment of glory.
Beautiful.
Considering that I saw the other one moving around after I knocked it out, I'm gonna headbutt this one into submission for non-lethal damage.
Okay. Is that really what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and make an attack. Alright, you miss.
Okay, next attack.
Alright. You attack him, you start headbutting him with your head, and you're trying to knock him unconscious.
Does a 20 hit?
20? Oh, you don't have a +1 to it. It would, if I didn't parry it. He'll go ahead and use his reaction to parry. He gains bonus to his AC.
Slap my face out of the way.
Yeah, he just blocks your face with a greatsword.
Ouch.
Oh, man.
Sounds good to me. Boo, you move to that position. Alright. You fire at him, and you realize that the shot is dead on, but as it kind of passes into the square that he's standing in, the arrow kind of flips up into the air and kind of flies away. You, confused, stare at him, and notice that the wind probably updrafted it out of your line.
Yeah.
Second shot, if you have one. Do you?
I am only level 3.
Oh, okay. What are you doing here? Oh,
I don't know. You only give me role-playing experience.
okay.
I have yet to go. I've done one encounter with Boo.
I'm gonna go ahead and smash
It's all
on
RP.
Typhon. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. I think you have Shield of Faith still active. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. He's gonna go ahead and step to here. For no reason. Some nonsense happens. Shadow?
Yeah, so how about we step here? And I can attack from here?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Wait, do you have a quarterstaff equipped? You can only attack diagonally with a quarterstaff or greatsword. Oh wait, this is a new request. Yeah, go ahead. Swing and a miss.
Best board game ever.
Agreed.
I've seen that video.
Second attack will hit, and that's enough. You don't need to roll sneak attack or anything. You bring your cat claw into his eyes, and you can feel your claws kind of entering in and raking, and you pull at the helmet, and as you do so, you can hear like his neck snap inside of it. And you just drop him to the ground,
Alrighty.
deceased. All right. So from this point, I'm gonna give you kind of like an open end. We will continue on Thursday if we can, on Sunday if we have to. Sunday good for everybody?
Yeah.
It is.
Sunday might not be good for me, actually.
Thursday's better.
What time on Sunday?
It would be in the evening.
So
But it sounds like Sunday's bad for everybody.
Okay.
So why don't you just go ahead on Thursday, and it's
Okay.
possible that I can pop in like 8:30-ish.
Okay. Yeah,
Whatever. Just
that's
let me
fine. I mean, I know how he works. Coward in a sense, but not
He's
ultimately.
not a coward, actually. He's-
Shh. I don't mean a coward. I meant a smart cat. Okay, and
It's a
yeah,
killing machine.
experience. Let me go ahead and just wipe this out because that's all gone. 2 3s, bunch of 1/8s, the guards. Technically, not really. Everybody gained 250 experience. And I'll go ahead and kill the stream for tonight. Thank you for watching, those that did.
Yeah, pretty much as soon as
Okay,
combat's
killing.
over,
Oh, we're killing the stream, so the game's over. Yeah.